What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Brujo 101. I am your host, Martin Moreno. I'm joined by Ashe, a.k.a. Thanya, or is it Thanya, a.k.a. Ashe? I always say both of them, so by this time, we you guys know who she is. How you doing, Thanya?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I actually got some sleep, and I feel rested.
That's good.
You know, after you drink a lot, you just kind of like... Don't roll your eyes like you don't get fucked up, Thanya. We've been to brunch.
Wow. I'm a day drinker because I'm a professional, first of all. Yes, I think that sleep is important when you get fucked up. The best remedy is sleep and some greasy ass food.
You know, and I didn't mean to throw you under the bus like totally that, but that look you gave me was like I felt so judged. I'm like, okay, mija, we've gotten fucked up together. Like we've met for dinner and you've already got a freaking few rounds of margaritas.
That was Joey.
Oh yeah, blame it on Joey.
That was Joey.
And our guest today is Mike from the podcast The Art of Letting Go. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing really good, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh, dude, thank you for being here. I don't think anything is random. I think everything happens for a reason. Probably the last place you thought you'd find yourself would be here today.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like so many of us in this room.
But I think shit lines up a lot of times, and again, it just happens for a reason. You know, I also host another podcast called the Yo Podcast with Martin and Hooter with my son. And it's actually a running joke now because I'll incorporate into any conversation. Because at my age, I'm just happy to be able to be still active, you know? And so I always throw in, oh, yeah, I'm out here for a walk on the beach, you know? I was on my walk on the beach and blah, blah, blah. And it's like this running joke and that he says. But interestingly enough, I met you while I was on my walk at the beach. And again, I don't think anything's random. I was telling, before we got started, Thanya asked, how do you guys know each other? And when we said the beach, she remembered I was telling the story about and I don't even know if we talked about it did we talk about it on the podcast, Thanya?
No, it was a conversation we had.
It was a conversation that we had. Yeah. Cause I asked her, cause I was out. So many things happen at the beach.
Yeah.
If you go out there enough, and I'm out there when I'm home, I try to be out there almost 3 to 4 days out of the week if I'm home, and I see the most. I see naked people. I see.
It's like downtown LA.
Oh, homie. There's people out there. There was this one lady one time doing a ritual. She was taking off her clothes in the ocean and doing some chants, and the cops swooped up. One time there was this other dude just jogging, freaking dick a swinging. Nobody gave a shit. Just like, hey, let him, dick just swinging. Let's go. And, there's people laying out on the beach, balls out, tits out. It's Santa Monica, that border of Santa Monica and Venice is almost like the
Bermuda Triangle.
It's an arts district is what it is. And so it's
He's like, so some call it art.
It does feel like that though. Anytime I go to Venice, it's just so much energy at the beach. That's why I like to go there, because you might, like you said, you might see anything out there. Yeah, dude. And so I was... I had talked to Thanya. I said, hey, man, so because, Thanya kills chickens and things. And
I'm a santera. I'm an Olorisha. I practice Santeria.
So anytime I see something, I say, hey, man, what do you know about blah, blah, blah? And I was on my walk, and there's this dude who had this cardboard box with these images on it, like these symbols drawn on this giant cardboard box. And he's standing there and he's pouring salt, tracing the images, but there's also salt surrounding this, like on the edges of the box. What's that, Chiki, what's that show where those guys are hunting ghosts and shit? Supernatural. I've seen
I
enough.
thought everything but that right now. I was like, Ghost Hunters?
That's what I was thinking.
So Supernatural is the show where they're like, they people throw salt for protection, and as long as you throw salt around the house, nothing
I
can
see a
get
lot
in.
of salt.
What's that?
I do see a lot of people working with salt.
But what's interesting is like supposedly it's bad luck to throw away salt. From what I've heard before, like if you drop salt, you're supposed to throw it over your shoulder, or else you're gonna have bad luck and be broke and shit.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
So this guy was just purposely throwing the salt, and I was like, and then so I passed by.
Martin's like, don't do that. Throw it over your shoulder. Throw it over your shoulder.
You're gonna be broke, homie. And so I'm like, I passed by, and I'm like, what the, this is interesting. I'm trying not to look, but I'm looking, and usually I stop and talk to people, but I'm like, okay, this dude's way deep into the salt right now. I'm not gonna mess up his ritual. It was definitely a ritual that was going on, and so I kept walking. On my way back, I'm walking and I'm looking down because there's a lot of oil out there. I don't want to step on oil, so I'm looking, and all of a sudden I see the outlines of where this cardboard was, and the salt has seeped through into the sand. The cardboard box wasn't there anymore; he was gone. But the images were almost like crop circles into the sand. And I was like, I was literally about to take one step in there, and I'm like, whoa! And then I just
today.
I backed up. I'm like, whatever the hell he left here, I don't want it, or whatever he was channeling. That's his thing. That's his.
Or getting rid of, or whatever.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or channeling even. I didn't want that energy, and instinctively at that moment, before I took that step, I happened to look down, and I froze in my tracks, and then I took a step back and went around it. And I was like, okay, something's protecting me. And then that's when I reached out to you. Later that day, I reached out to you to ask you about, what is that? What could he have been doing? Yada, yada. But yeah, you see a lot of stuff. I was talking to, one time I passed by and there was this ladies with this giant tapestry, and they were charging their crystals with the sun. And I'm like, so of course, I'm gonna stop. And I'm like, it was a Dominican woman and some other lady. And I go, hey, what's up? And they're like, hey. And I'm like, I can't help but notice all your rocks out here.
Can we be any more opposite? I see people with like aleques and collares and like santeria things. I'm like, I don't fucking see you. Like, I'm not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to, Martin's like, what are you doing?
I get
in on this?
Like, I've never seen this crystal before. I've seen many crystals. I know a lot of other crystals, but this crystal here, I've never seen it. Well, this crystal. And then they start explaining the crystal. And then I always have the, I didn't have it on today. My evil eye I usually have. And I was like, I see you have the eye. And I'm like, yeah, so I ain't afraid of you motherfuckers.
Bring it with your crystal.
Yeah. So we're sitting there, we start talking, and they're talking about how they're charging the crystals with the sun. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I work with the moon, and I charge the crystals with the moon, right?
Getting your whole coven together.
And so then she says to me, well, I used to work with the moon,
okay,
but I started reading how this is where it got crazy.
Doesn't it always?
Says how the moon was man-made. Yeah.
Calling Sam Tripoli.
Yeah. And so I said, okay, lady, where the hell's your tinfoil hat, mija, right? And so she says, so I read that it's man-made and it has all this negative energy, yada, yada. And I stopped working with the moon. And I go, okay, well, I'm not trying to challenge your belief system here. But I will say that there is a lot of ancient writings way before our current civilization where they reference the moon. The moon has been referenced in antiquity, right. And people have worked with the moon. And I go, and I think it's fantastic that you're doing the sun, but there's a balance, and I think you should do a little bit more research. It's like the flat Earth people and the hologram people, and I'm not saying that it's round,
Look at my eyes. I'm like, that's twitching. Everybody message Martina about that. Don't message Ashe.
No. I'm no. And I was being sarcastic when I said I'm not saying it's round. I go, but I go, you need to be careful with a lot of those people that are saying that shit. I go, and then I start explaining things about the moon and antiquity and things. And it's like, and then she said to me, oh my God, I'm so glad you stopped and said that, because I missed the moon, and I always had this thing where I'm like, this doesn't make sense. She goes, but I believed the person that told me that. And I go, well, and that's fine. I go, but it's always better to go with your gut feeling. And you
gotta believe you first.
You gotta believe you, homie. Yeah. And so anyway, high fived me, said thank you. Dude, I was just out there doing guru things, Thanya.
The Lord's work, clearly.
And so on this particular day, I'm walking out there, and I see a homie there, and he's got his whole thing laid out, and he's got a book, and I'm just, and it looks like, I'm like, oh. I think I said some shit like doing some homework or doing studying.
Yeah, you did ask me if I was doing homework. I didn't have salt, though. Just so
no.
I was like, what is your whole thing? Like, because there's been crystals, salt. What the hell did you have? Like,
no, I had a notebook out there. I was kind of just doing some reflecting and just kind of looking at my next steps in life, and some music, some water, and like I said, some shrooms.
And this dude who looks like the Mexican Jesus starts talking to you.
It's funny you say that, because there was at one point we were talking, I was like, man, he looked like Jesus.
Because I go, what are you doing, some homework? He goes, I go, what do you do? He's like, well, I'm a teacher, but I'm more than that. And then nice. He starts, getting into like this like, I sense like a serious spiritual evolution going on at that moment. And I had no idea that he was on shrooms until later. He told me.
He's laughing. He's like, I'm on them now, and here I am. But it was one of those moments where I'm like, oh, that's a cool dude, man. And then I said, what's the name of your podcast? And I go, yeah, I got a couple podcasts too. And then we talked for a minute. To be honest, after that part where I said you're doing some homework, and then you mentioned the shrooms, you told me you were from. We actually got to know you a little bit. You told me you were from Houston. Yeah. But now you're out here teaching. Look at that shit. Who does this shit? Like, I want to be honest with you. Like, I think I want to refer. I think that's awesome that you do that, because I feel like I'm a very closed off person, and I give that vibe. Like, don't talk to me sometimes, even though I don't mean to give that vibe, right? But I would be so hesitant to talk to somebody I didn't know, like in that setting. But I think that's awesome. Like, I think it's great that you do that. Like, Jerry's like that, Joey's like that. I just have such a hard time, because I feel like they're gonna be like, what do you care? Like, girl, get out of the sun. Like, I'm at the beach, So like, I think that's awesome. But continue, my Hispanic Jesus. Continue.
Go ahead, you continue, bro. Because I feel like I hog up the microphone.
No, it's all good. We ended up talking, and I think one of the things that stood out to me that you said to me was, like, enjoy where I'm at, because, the problems that I have today, my younger self would wish that I had those problems. And that stood out to me because, like I said, I've been in a weird space with like this whole job thing and transitioning, and it just made it feel like it wasn't that big of a deal, because it's like, man, I remember 5 years ago wondering what the fuck I was gonna do, and because I just transitioned out of working at Starbucks to doing music, and then transitioning back to a job, and now transitioning out of that again to really fully pursue what I want to do. So it's like, fuck, I've been here again and again and again, but this feels like the last time. I'm not fucking going back.
Well, what's interesting is I do remember saying that. I do remember, because I think you mentioned something, and I said, hey man, just realize that whatever problems you have right now, probably your 5 year ago person would have dreamed of having these problems. Like that would have been such a refreshing thing, you know. And it's funny because that came to me out of, I don't know where the fuck it came from.
You told me something funny also, because you were like, it's a motherfucker in Kansas that wishes he had your problem. And that motherfucker's right. and that made me laugh so much, but I also was like, man, it is somebody out there that wishes they had.
Oh my God, no. You know what I said? I said, you know what? There's probably a motherfucker in Kansas that wishes he had your problems. And he's white.
Oh my God.
That's hilarious.
Oh,
but that's true.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes we forget that the I don't want to say problems, but the obstacles that we have sometimes in our lives are things that we prayed for. Right? Like that your problems are things you prayed for previously. And there's someone praying to have your problems.
Yeah.
You know? So very insightful. Oh my, I'm gonna get your shirt. This is the Mexican Messiah.
The Mexican Messiah. Look at Chiki. Chiki's mad. She's over there hating.
We were saying we had to make a shirt. That one sounds like a good one.
Huh?
I'm not hating. That you don't even realize.
I don't realize.
How much of a Messiah he is?
Oh, no. I have no
he's a
ego.
Messiah.
I have no ego. I'm
he's exempt of ego.
It's for the people. It's for the people. Never.
It's for his people. Yes. Yes.
It's me. I'm the people.
I just reposted that. That's funny. But
That's
Mexican
hilarious.
Messiah.
I agree. I'm gonna tell you. Like I said, I was like, man, this dude looks like Jesus. Mind you, like I said, I was already.
Your eye
tripping.
was high, but okay,
And
whatever.
I was like, man, I should take a picture of this dude because this dude is beautiful. And then I get on his IG and I see he's a model, and it's like, oh, it all makes sense.
I'm dead. I'm so dead. Oh my God. He is a model and he's for the people. Consistently for the people.
So many goddamn things. I'm a guru. I'm a grandpa. I'm a comic. I'm a model. I'm a Bopo warrior.
He's a musician.
Okay.
I'm a who?
You're a musician.
I'm a musician. That's right.
And some kind of reincarnated evangelical meets carny thing.
Okay.
Because it's like funny, but it's religious.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll take it. I'll
Yeah,
take it. Listen,
there you go.
I feel like look.
It transcends, Martin.
At the ripe age of 54, I feel that I've lived many lives, and I feel absolutely fortunate. And not to sound cliche, but blessed as fuck.
Oh, hashtag.
I know. And the other day I was telling my sister, we're sitting there talking, right? And my sister is all my sisters, by the way, are the exact opposite of me. I have 4 sisters. All of them are college graduates. They are, contributing members to society in a textbook way. Like they've dotted the I's and crossed the T's as to what you're supposed to do to be accepted into society as a quote unquote good member of the community, right? And God bless them, Me, on the other hand, I've always just kind of been, early on, I was considered the black sheep of the family, but also this person that was just like, wait, who says I have to do that? Fuck that. Just who said? Just because somebody says it, fuck that. I was always the fuck it and fuck that guy.
Problematic.
I'm sorry?
Problematic.
I know. And so I said to my sister, I said, I'm looking at the next, chapter of my life. And I realized that, I'm done. Like, I don't want to be stressed out about things. I need to take it easy and chill. And my sister just paused and stared at me. And she goes, Martine, what are you talking about? You've done that your whole life. Like, how much more chill do you want to be? Man. And I'm like, I guess I did. And anyway, it was just interesting to hear that, because there is chapters. Like when you said, at this point I'm doing this. I think that we always do things for waiting for it to take us to a specific destination or a specific place. And the reality is that it's just chapters. And I think I might have said that to you that day. And this is what's been being, this is what's been in my head lately is, because I've talked to people, especially after the pandemic. After the pandemic, a lot of people's lives were uprooted. People had to move in with friends and family. People moved in back with their parents. People gave up wherever they were living to go to a place that they could afford because it was just, and a lot of people felt like they somehow failed. Like, oh, so I didn't make it as this. I didn't make it as that. And at the end of the day, it's like, you did 20, I'm thinking of somebody specifically where I'm like, bro, you did 20 years of this and you have amazing stories and amazing experiences and things that happen and accomplishments that you did that people could only dream of doing, and it didn't go where you wanted it to go, but who gives a shit? That was the chapter. It wasn't doing it so that you can get to a level or get to a level up or whatever. It's that was, when you were in this place, that was the chapter. The college experience, for crying out loud. When you're in college, that's a chapter that you enjoy the shit out of it and you learn and you take from it what you can. And then you go to the next chapter and then the next. And that's all it is in our life, is all these chapters in this giant book that we're writing, that we're in charge of 100%. And a lot of times, a good author will sit down and start writing. They'll have a little bit of an outline, but they'll just write and it'll just come to them. And I think that those, for me, and people would say, fuck that. I need structure. I need this. I need that.
Stability. Correct.
Stability. That's a big, big word, stability. And I think it's a trap, because it doesn't matter how stable anything is. Again, this pandemic proved how unstable things are. And just because you take the safe route doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to pay off.
Yeah, I think people forget that we all have our own journeys. Even if, like you were saying about the person, doing it for 20, 30 years and it may not work for a couple, it may circle back around to you. Because when I first moved here, I was doing music and seriously pursuing music. And my journey has taken me so many other places that now it's circling back around to music. And it's like, had I had this idea of oh, this is where I'm supposed to be, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, I'd be discouraged 24/7. I'd be depressed because I would be basing my success off of, granted, it's not college, because I did go to college, but at the same time, with doing something creative or entertaining, there's this base model of what it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like. And if you constantly comparing to that shit, yeah, you're gonna feel down about your shit 24/7. But what I'm recognizing about myself is oh, I'm an artist, and this artist journey is gonna constantly evolve. It might be me teaching and doing art, it might be me podcasting and doing music, it might be me taking pictures. My grandfather's turning 100. I know I'm kind of all over.
Wow, no, that's great.
He's turning 101. Sorry, he turned 100 last year. He's turning 101 in June.
My God, that's awesome. Does he still have his wits about him?
He does. He doesn't talk as much anymore, but he's very aware of who people are, what's going on. And if I get to live that long, I aspire to live that long. And I told myself the other day, I was like, if I get to live to that point, I want to be a fucking photographer. And I don't know what the fuck that looks like at 101, but that's a goal of mine, because who knows, I might get there and I might be able to see that shit. And I just, with my whole life, I just want to show people you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. This is
1920. Are you kidding me?
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's the things that man has seen, has experienced, has lived. I'm getting chills just thinking about that. What an incredible journey, and the fact that he still has it all in there. It's a different world that he's in right now.
And that's a super blessing for you.
It is. It is. It's so inspiring to me just to know that I come from a lineage of somebody his brother, who is 96.
That's crazy.
Caught COVID twice before the fucking vaccine. And this is when they were saying old people were dying and shit like that. So to know that I come from strength like that, it encouraged me to keep going and show my strength in the ways that I can,
It has to make you feel like anything is possible.
Fuck yeah.
Because then you would be like, I was going to say something that was going to come out wrong. But you would be kind of like, I can't like bitch out on this. Like, this dude was 96, right? Like, I cannot be acting like, right? Like, anything is like, that's how I would feel about it personally, But that's like a huge blessing. What is the next chapter? I know what your chapter is currently because you told us, but what's the next chapter that you're going towards?
The next chapter for me is really pursuing all of my creative endeavors. I had someone tell me once, you can't multitask. You can only do one thing at a time, and that's fucking bullshit. If I could teach and I could podcast at the same time, I could podcast and do music and photography and paint, all of that shit at the same time. So I really plan to be a full-time artist, and I'm designing what that looks like. I really can't explain what it looks like exactly. Also, teaching podcasting to kids. Cool. This was something that, for myself, therapy was too expensive for me. So I used it as a way to express my feelings and get my thoughts out. Like, I was never trying to blow up with this shit or anything like that. And I want to teach that as a valuable tool to kids. Like, fuck trying to blow up, make money and stuff. Use this as a space to just cope with life and
get it out there.
Yeah, and not harm yourself by doing other shit. Like, use this as a space to just get your feelings off.
That's a good idea.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Is that what inspired the art of letting go?
Yeah, I was inspired because I was going to therapy. I had a lot of shit going on. I just got out of my first relationship. It was kind of around the time where I just came out, so I was trying to figure out all the sexuality shit. And I was going to therapy. They increased the price. Like I said, I just got out of Starbucks and was trying to.
What year was this?
2017.
2017.
Yep.
Not that long ago, if you think about it, right?
No.
Like, it feels like, I'm sure to you it feels like ages ago, but
It does.
My God, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so when I said the problems you had 5 years,
Yeah.
holy fuck, did I hit the nail on the goddamn
it's the
head.
Messiah.
Chiki, don't be fucking telling me
It's
I'm not
the
a Messiah, you
Messiah.
goddamn hater.
We will work on that shirt on Sunday.
Just because they have no Messiahs in Guatemala doesn't mean that there's none
There's
right
Guadi
here.
Messiah. That's my true friend. There's Guadi Messiah. There's Guadi Messiah's friend.
You got your Guadi Saya over there.
Ooh, that's a good shirt too.
Guad Saya.
Brujisaya. Brujisaya.
I like that.
Right?
You could go
I
out
like
there and
that.
rescue the caravan people.
So you back to this. So so it's 2017. What I want to tell you, like, good for you that you came out. Like,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I have a lot of godchildren who are gay and fluid and whatever the fuck else they are. I don't even ask anymore, but I think it takes a lot to be who you are, whatever that entails, right? Like, I'm a witch and I tell people, and
You're a spiritual advisor, boo.
but I have to take whatever comes with it, right?
Of course.
And like, we joke around a lot, right? Like, about the chickens, even though it's true. But some people, we've had people here who are super put off by that.
Oh, yeah.
We've had people here who are like, I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
they'll do the sign of the cross,
I'm
like,
like,
oh
what
shit,
are
what are
you
we
doing?
doing here? Yeah, oh
and
yeah,
to
people
me,
get
it's
scared.
like, what are you doing, right? And I know that that's kind of like, it's not the same thing, but it's some kind of like the knee-jerk reaction sometimes you get when you're like, I'm gay,
Yeah, and I used to feel like I had to give like this big disclaimer of like, hey, I'm gay, or by the way, I'm gay. And now I'm like, man, fuck that. Like,
no.
people go in the room and they don't say, by the way, I'm heterosexual, or I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah.
So like, that's what I really want for the next generation, is for the shit to be normalized. Like, that's why I do project myself in the world the way I do. 'Cause it's like, a lot of times, yeah, people can be put off by it, but I feel like if you walk into a room and you're authentically yourself, fuck those people.
Truth.
Well, it's like, okay, so when I met you, I have no idea whether you're straight, gay, alien, fucking human. None of that. None of that mattered.
High on
like,
shrooms. None of it mattered.
No, literally none of it mattered. And in my head, I thought, and ignorantly enough, I guess, that by 2017, we had reached a point where people don't have to come out anymore. It's one of those things where like I think it's just so like, this is who I am. There's a generation coming up right now of young teenagers that they are completely what is that term? It's not just the two sexes, but
Is it non-binary?
Non-binary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I swear I thought so many things. I'm like, what?
No, non-binary. So there's so many people out there that are not, so young people now that are non-binary, that, and it's very matter of fact. It's not like it used to be like, you know, you get all the family together during the holiday and everybody's like, okay guys, I got an announcement to make. I got to say blah, blah, blah. And then they came out, where now it's just like, motherfucker, this is who I am. Like, and I think but I think for somebody who's older, I don't know if you want to say how old you are or what year you were born, but at what age were you in high school? What year were you in high school?
I'll be 36 this year. So I was in high school in 2004, and everything in 2004 was gay. You know, that's gay, this gay, that gay.
So yeah, I was in high school in the 80s, right? I graduated in the mid 80s, and at that time, gay bashing was a thing. When AIDS, I remember when AIDS first broke, it was gay people and drug addicts that were getting this disease. This is what everybody said. Everybody thought this erroneously. And it was very stigmatized, and people didn't. There was so many people, like, you know, Rock Hudson. I remember when people found out, they're like, "What? He's gay? What the?" Like, people were freaking out.
And they were bothered, like they knew him.
Yes, and no, but
you don't know Rock Hudson.
But you got to understand, in the 80s, it was just, you know, Rob Halford was the singer for Judas Priest. Judas Priest is they had a song called Metal Gods. And heavy metal was like it just was heavy metal, right? And these guys were the ambassadors of the look. And the look was, Rob Halford was on stage dressed in leather, with whips, handcuffs. It was very BDSM. Yay. It was so
that's gay.
But he was expressing himself. He was in the closet. He could not come out. They would have, like, are you kidding me? Rob Halford, gay? Shut the fuck up. People would have beat your ass if you would have said that. This is how toxic the environment was. And I hate the word toxic, but this is how dysfunctional it was back then. And so Rob Halford was expressing his sexuality on stage the only way he could, and that was by dressing in leather and collars and things like that. Well, every heavy metal kid out there started dressing the same way. Nobody knew that it was BDSM or any type of fetish gear. It was just metal wear. It was just heavy metal. Years later, when he came out, it was like, oh shit, that's what that was, right? Which is but people had to be in the closet. And which is so sad. People were getting married because they'd rather get married and live a lie than have to say that they are gay. And I think, you know, not to get racial here, but speaking as a Mexican dude, I think in the people of color, you know, black community, the Latino community, not as accepting as we should be. Of course.
I know you say not to get racial, but you almost have to get racial in it, because it's like, okay, if everybody's dealing with having to be gay, you add being black or brown on top of that, because just the challenge of being a black man, I'm sure being a Latino man, that shit is challenging enough. Then you add the sexuality on top of that shit. It's like, this is too fucking much. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you not only get it from, because I mean, I wasn't getting it when I was in the closet. I wasn't getting it like just from people directly, because nobody knew I was gay. But from society, you get it. And that's both heterosexual and gay people. Like, gay people are just as hard on gay people as straight people are. And that's the thing that's so wild to me, is like, I hear so many gay people say, and this is not me defending quote unquote straight people, because, you know, people be like, oh, he's a gay that's anti-gay. No, I'm not anti-gay, but, you know, a lot of times for me, it's like, look in the mirror. So it's like, when you're expecting this person to treat you a certain way, but you treat your own people a certain way, it's like, well, how the fuck could I expect a straight person to treat me a certain way when gay people treat me fucked up?
Well, I think that's the whole, like, I think that embodies a lot of things, even with race, right? Like, as Mexicans, we're brought up to believe, like, the lighter you are, the better you are. Because, you know, how many times would those old Mexican soap operas be like La India? And the India was always dark, and she was always speaking a native language, and she was looked down upon, right? They're beneath the people who were lighter skinned, you know? So I think the whole idea of passing with Hispanics and Afro-Americans, I think it also spreads out to the gay community, because I think that we are so, I think it kind of goes back to religion. And I think we're brought up in this weird conundrum of, like, God is love, but he doesn't want you to be homosexual, have a good time, have sex, don't drink, don't fucking masturbate. So then you get all that. Then you get all that, and it's like, oh shit, right? So I almost think it's harder to come out older than younger, because, like, my son has friends, he's 14, right? He goes to school, and we're just talking about this, about a party he got invited to, and I'm like, oh, it's a little girl's birthday, whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, yeah, her girlfriend's going to be there. And then, but very, like,
nonchalant. And that's what I was saying. Like, there's that generation is there. Like, when you said earlier, I want people to be able, I think that's that generation that's coming up right now. And that is why Florida is trying to fight it so hard. They're like, no. Because now, you know, I remember, I want to say 5. How old is Jake, Chiki? Joe's Jake?
Jacob's like
24. So let's go back 6 years. 6 years ago, which would have been 2016, went away to college, and I remember that his dad was saying to me, "Hey man, so my son's out there in school." And his teachers ask him how he identifies, what his pronouns are, you know. And now we're talking, at that time, that was like, huh? What are you talking about? It was very foreign to people to even begin to even understand it, you know. It was and anytime, and unfortunately, anytime something's new or people don't understand it, they resist it without any information whatsoever. What the fuck are you talking about? You know,
are you, they,
yeah.
she, her?
Yeah, get the fuck out of here with that shit. You know, people are they're very like, I know what I know, and I don't need to know nothing different. This is what the fuck I know, and this is what I've always known. And that's a horrible place to be. It's a horrible place to be. There's no evolution, and you're not giving room for growth. And
you're not going to learn shit.
You're not going to learn shit. You're going to close your mind to it. But at that time, that's what was going on. At the same time, in the elementary schools, very shortly thereafter, the same thing started happening. These are the pronouns. I remember. Chiki says, "Oh, I went to go pick up my daughter, and they said, I was hanging out with them." I said, "Well, I only saw you with what's her name? What do you mean them?" "Well, with them." And it's like that person identified as them, but it made it sound like there was more people there, and it wasn't that she was trying to be mean. It was like she genuinely didn't get it. But these kids are talking like matter of fact.
Man,
how do you not know this? How do you not know this? Like, you're the weird one here. And I think that there's a lot of resistance to that. And that's why this law's coming in that says you cannot talk about gender with I think it's kindergarten through 3rd grade is what the law is.
I haven't even read into that yet.
So it's a new Florida law, and this is one that Disney chimed in on. And that's why a lot of conservatives are angry at Disney now for agreeing that it's like, wait a minute, why is it not okay to? And then there's this teacher who's like, well, you know, my husband, it's a male teacher, and he's like, my husband and I, you know, we this is what we do for the weekend and yada yada. And he goes, so when I come back to school, I cannot even mention anything that I did with this person because it would be illegal. And
That's
so you
crazy.
cannot talk about anything other than, you know, because I mean, think about when we grew up. This is the boys' line, this is the girls' line. So it is crazy, but it's also been programmed into our DNA and into our society for so long that of course it's going to be scary to people when it's challenge, well, not challenged, but when it evolves to the next level of what should. My friend G Riley, he's also a comedian, he's always said, just because the last motherfucker on the evolutionary chart is standing up doesn't mean that it ends there. He goes, it's gonna keep on going, right? And so, you know, when you start thinking about how you can try to keep on fighting it, but you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose that fight. There's way too many people now that are like, "Fuck you! You're not gonna cage me into. I like blue. I play with trucks. I don't cry. And boys do this, girls do that." You know, I don't know. I think that's more damaging to box somebody up into this is what you like because you've got a fucking dick and balls and you can't like anything. Don't you dare put on a dress, you motherfucker. You know, that's crazy talk.
Man, I think it's all a spectrum. And it's like kind of going back to what you're saying about the kids. Like these kids could be really good teachers if people took time to just learn from them. Because I have students that, you know, for me being from the generation I'm from, I'm still learning the gender stuff as well. But there are kids that if a kid identifies as a girl or a boy, they call them that pronoun without even giving it a second thought.
No second thought.
So it's like, if this kid could do that, why can't I do it? You know what I mean? If this kid can do it, why can't all of us as adults do it? They don't give a fuck.
And so the argument that a conservative person would say to that is that, well, yeah, but that person wants to have cake and pizza every day. Are you going to let them have cake and pizza?
Yes.
Just because
It's
they
none of
know,
my
do they know what's best for them?
It's none of my fucking business. Let them have cake and pizza. The fact that there are people who think that they have a right over somebody else is ridiculous. Like, I don't subscribe to, are you gonna, if they want to fucking do drugs every day, are you gonna let them? Yes, that's their choice. Do I think it's a good idea? Probably not.
In elementary school?
Is it my choice to make? Probably not. But there are kids who are gonna do drugs.
In elementary school, Tanya?
Yeah, there's kids who are smoking pot. There's kids who are
But pot's not a drug, Tanya.
well, according to the conservatives, it's a gateway drug. And like, how are you gonna like no? And I think that there's like, I think the problem, which is what we were talking about, are the parents. Like, my son comes home and tells me I'm gonna go to a party for this girl, her girlfriend's gonna go. Her girlfriend. What?
You're not going.
You're not gonna go because she's okay. Whatever. Like that's. Whatever. Like, are her parents not complete assholes? Are you going to be safe? Are you going to be okay? You could go. Because it's not like, how am I going to be like, oh, you know, she should be straight. What the fuck do I know? She's gay. She's gay. So you cannot be so ignorant to think that you have a say over somebody's body. Like, that's legitimately their body.
Well, unless you're a woman in Texas.
And in Ireland. And in Ireland. But that's the whole fucking problem, Chiki. Forget the shirt, Chiki. He's making me mad. No more Messiah. So there's no like, I think kids get things way quicker than us because they don't put so much authority behind what they think, and we think we're always right.
Yeah, and all the labels feel like a fucking joke anyway. And I say that because, like I've been telling my friends lately, and I just been feeling this like probably since the year started, but it's just like people want you to identify as something to make them feel comfortable. Because if I choose today to not identify as gay, but I still choose to have sex with men, to date men, or whatever.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean? It means nothing. Like, the word and the action have nothing to do with each other. And it makes me feel like, damn, this is some bullshit. Like, you know, it's hard to put myself in a box and say I'm gay when I have not met every single woman in the world. And that's not to say that I'm it's not me putting it out there that I'm looking for women.
This isn't his Tinder account.
He's coming out again.
Here we go.
It was a joke.
Quite the roller coaster today. No.
But no, like, if I did meet a woman and we connected, am I just gonna set that boundary and say, no, I'm not giving into this because I'm gay and this is the only thing? Like, I don't know, you know?
My son's godmother, I don't know. Well, no, sorry. My son's godmother for a long time was heterosexual, right? I love my son's, it's his baptismal godmother.
Okay.
Okay, because we subscribed to that bullshit too for a while. And then she found out, no, that's not my jam. I'm going to go date girls. Okay. Then I don't think that's my jam either. I think I'm just fluid. And then somebody in that circle came up to me and was like, you should talk to her. I was like, and tell her what? And tell her she's wrong.
Oh, shit.
About what I said. And they're like, well, she should pick. I said, okay, so she should pick. I said, she should pick what makes her happy. And if being fluid makes her happy, it doesn't change the person she was yesterday with my son. It doesn't change the love that I have for her. And, in 10 years, she's going to realize that she's straight. Maybe she will. Maybe she won't. But she's not coming to my house asking me to borrow my bed. I have nothing to do with this. Whether it was a girl or a boy who she's dating, the rules are the same in my house with my son. Do not come over, be all over each other, because I'm not with that. So what am I going to tell her? I don't care who she brings. Like, that's not, but the audacity of someone to come up to me and be like, you should tell her something. I was like, well, what am I going to tell her?
Right.
But that's not just because that's not something that I'm into up to this point. But like you said, I could live 100 years and who fucking knows, right? But that's just not my path. Maybe that's her path. And the fact that people think that they can force you through guilt and shame not to be who you are.
There is conversion therapy if you want help, Mike.
Shit. I'm going to pass on that. I'm going to pass. You know what's so funny, though?
There's a lobotomy.
People be like, oh, it's a choice. It's this. It's like, motherfucker, do you think I would choose some shit that...
What? You got like a triple whammy. You're black and you're gay.
Like, just
wanna be
give
honest
me
with
all
you.
of them. Give me all the challenges. I want, this is like playing a video game and I just put it on hard. That's crazy.
I just put it on hard.
I have a friend who's gay, and we had a talk about like him being gay and coming out, and he's like in his 40s, right? And I'm like, well, how'd you know? And he's like, well, I had a girlfriend. And I was like, oh, okay, so you're not gay. He's like, well, yeah, I'm gay. That's how I knew. Like, when I was with her, I was like, I want to be her. I don't want to be with her. He's like, and then when my mom was, I guess the mom was like really disappointed, like, why can't you just be straight? And he was like, why would I choose this? Why would I choose for you to treat me like this? He's like, it wasn't like, I think that the tolerance is so much better with kids because it's so natural. My son did his ceremony in our religion with my godson Joey, who's gay. And I don't think my son had ever had so much interaction with somebody who's gay one-on-one, but they had to be in ceremony together for 7 days.
Wow.
The only people they could talk to was each other.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, there's going to be the second year that they've had that ceremony done. They created such a cool bond. Everything when we got back had anything that he saw that was against gay people. He was like, what about Joey? Like everything, but what about Joey? Even questioning some things in our religion because there's some things that are not allowed for homosexuals to do. He was very like, but why? What about Joey? And Joey's birthday just passed, and my son bought him a unicorn rainbow shirt, right? And I'm like, I don't know. To me, I'm like, is Joey gonna get offended? I don't
That's
know,
real.
right?
Yeah.
And my son was like, he likes unicorns and he's gay. And I gave it to Joey, and Joey was like, I love unicorns. I'm gay. And it was very
Well, of course, they like glitter, Tanya. You didn't know that? They like dick and glitter, bro.
Legitimately, you guys have met Joey, okay? You guys have met Joey. He's not like super flamboyantly gay around everyone. So it was very like, if I had thought of giving it to him, I would be so worried. Like, is he going to get offended? But Nick was like, this is fucking stupid. Like, he didn't tell me that, of course, because that don't go. But he was like, Mom, just buy it for him. And Joey was happy. And now everything in his mind relates back to Joey. When he sees things, he's like, Mom, that would be Joey.
And your son is 14. And
Yeah.
again, that's that generation that's out there. And the only teenagers that are not in that state of mind are the ones that are being told that it's wrong. They're being
We're
told.
probably closeted.
Well, no,
Which
but
is
the families are telling them that that's a sin. That's not okay. That's against the Bible and just there's just like everything else, that they write you with guilt, like, masturbation or impure thoughts, for crying out loud, right? Like you shouldn't lust after. Motherfucker, you're gonna be horny. Like you're gonna lust. That's what you're gonna do, bro. Like, I don't care how much you pray. Your hard-ons will not go away, whether you like men or women. That's just biology, bro.
Praying doesn't make you sterile. Praying doesn't make you a better person. Religion doesn't make you a better person. Like the people who are telling people, because of religion, don't be this, don't be that. I mean, check the source, right? Mm-hmm. Like, who's your source? Like, you're this person who's complete bigot. Like, that's not cool,
Yeah, but they're again, and now, not to defend these people's mentality, but when you're 60, 70 and your whole life you've been programmed to believe something, and all of a sudden they hit you with a double whammy, you're like, whoa, wait, huh? What? Like, at some point, you gotta let grandma be grandma. You can't expect grandma to be woke overnight. You gotta figure, you make it to 80 and then you find out you've been wrong your whole life. That's almost cruel. You just got to keep on letting them be fucking the assholes that they are at that point. Because, you could try it and test the waters, but at the end of the day, 80 plus, homie, let them just write out the rest of their days.
Whatever they want to think.
Correct.
Is fine.
To try to change them at that point, again, I feel it's cruel. You've been living a lie your whole life, grandma, you racist bitch. Like,
maybe not that end. Maybe you don't have to say the end part, but.
And I think it's about setting boundaries too. Like, especially if you know that people, because I'm going to be honest, when I came out, it was enough for me to get used to this, and I'm living this shit. So, for somebody else to get used to, because I did have that expectation as well. Like, okay, I'm getting used to this, so you have to be accepting of it right now. And it's like,
hang the flag.
People are having to understand this and figure it out themselves. And what I learned in my life is, rather than preaching to you about how you should be accepting, let me just live my life and show you who the fuck I am, and you figure it out on your own. Like, my dad had a challenging time with it initially because, my dad grew up in probably the same era as you, and he just didn't get it. He didn't understand. It didn't make sense to him because, just as it was for me, it was a mind fuck. Like, I'm masculine. I play sports. How am I gay? It doesn't make sense. My wrist isn't limp. I don't talk.
Get the
I don't
hell
talk
out of
feminine.
here.
I just didn't fit the quote unquote
Like,
stereotype.
I don't skip when I walk. What else you want from me?
That media has created for a gay black man.
Oh, dude, it's so interesting that you say that, because when I look at movies from the 70s and 80s, and Thanya, I don't know how many old Mexican movies you've seen,
Quite a few.
but the gay dude was always over the top, and oh my God, was he horny and wanted to fuck everybody. Like, come on, man. These old fat fucks, but the gay guy wants to fuck them. Like, dude, stop it.
But your fat husband.
But every movie had these guys just being hypersexualized and beyond flamboyant and over the top with everything. And unfortunately, Hollywood and television paint a picture for society as to what forever we've thought that Leave It to Beaver was the way every family was supposed to be, and if it wasn't like that, you fucking failed as a family. And I think that's the same thoughts that were ingrained into us as far as, oh, the gay guy's gonna want to fuck you.
You know what's funny? I feel like the just mainstream media packages. They sell us the same bullshit, but they just package it differently. You know what I mean? They package it as gay. They package it as black, as Latino. So it can speak to you in the way it needs to speak to you. But it's all, like I said, it's all bullshit. Like, they create this idea of this is what a gay person looks like. This is what a gay person's supposed to be. So if you are that, you're accepting of it. But if you aren't that, you're rejecting. But then if you are that and you're rejecting, at some point, you kind of conform to what you think. Okay, this is what they're showing me this is. So maybe this is the standard of what I need to be. And then you dip your foot in that shit and you're like, oh shit, this is not what the fuck I want. And you step out. But even like with the blackness, it's like there are standards of what a quote unquote black person is supposed to be. And there are some people that subscribe to that bullshit. You know, when I was in high school, even parts of my adult life, people have challenged my blackness. Like, oh, you don't do this or you don't do that, you're not black enough. But it's like, motherfucker, I grew up black my whole fucking life. So you can't scale or value my blackness, but people do it.
But Joe Biden did. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. I mean,
yeah.
That.
I think that happens with like every race, though. I think sometimes even like I used to get a lot of that because my dad's American and like I wasn't Mexican enough, but I grew.
Well, you're not.
Well, oh. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Chiki. Thank you.
Well, that
Chiki.
makes you Cuban.
Thank you, Chiki. I am not Cuban. I am Mexican. So I would get a lot of that, right? Like because in my house there wasn't like traditional Mexican music playing. Like my parents were into like crystals and meditation and like, oh, you're white. You're white. And in the beginning, I would get like really offended, right? And then I was like, I don't give a fuck what you think. Okay, yeah, I'm white, whatever. My mother, like, come on, no. If you've ever met my mom, you know I ain't white.
You know, what interestingly enough, with some of my friends, specifically, I'm thinking of a girlfriend that I know, right? We'll sit there and we'll start drinking. You know, we'll start drinking. Whiskey or whatever the hell, bourbon, and inevitably we try to out Mexican each other, you know, like she'll play a Mexican song and then I'll play a Mexican song and then she'll know the lyrics and I'll know the lyrics and then we'll do an artist from way back in the day and then I'll talk about my experiences visiting Mexico.
You're like singing
kid.
The Mexican anthem at the end and
then,
shit.
Well, no, her dad, she's like, well, I used to go to my mom's pueblo in Mexico as a kid and blah, blah, blah. She goes, yeah, well, my grandpa had a ranch and I used to brand the animals.
That's pretty gangster.
I'm like, fuck, man.
She fucking wins. I don't know.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I said. I go, all right, bitch. Like, see, like, and I'm like, why are we trying to out Mexican each other? You know, but it is a thing. And when you say question, you know, are you questioning my Mexicanness? Are you questioning my black? Like, just when you said, motherfucker, I've been black my whole life. I was born like, you can't question it. And it's the same thing, but people try to be blacker. People try to be more Mexican. You know,
same with the gayness too. Like some people will go into spaces and try to fit into that, and it's like it's okay if that's who you are. It's okay if that's not who you are. Just be yourself in whatever space you in.
Truths.
Okay,
like
enough
that.
about the sinners and the gays. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I hope you understand that I'm sarcastic and just say a lot of dumb shit, right? But I do want to talk a little bit about mushrooms.
Okay.
And just because it's a spiritual podcast, and you know what? Again, everything happens for a reason, and I think this was a big part of this turned into sexuality. But I think it's a important conversation to have, especially at this time when it's literally in a huge evolution. And so many different perspectives, different points of views, that to get everybody on the same page is, I don't know that it's even going to be possible. But I do hope that the dialogue does open more and people are more open to learning, if nothing else, and just realizing that it is in the process of a huge evolution right now. It's not just gay and bi anymore. It's literally a whole plethora of what we are redefining gender in a way that is just almost like what the internet did to the world. It's just a mind-blowing thing to learn. about how people are in their heads and I think it was very naive to just put us into this line and this line. This is you, and that's it. Go figure out the rest of the fucking life. I think that was even more damaging than anything else we could have done to kids.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Because like gay is the new witch, right? Like gay is the new witch, because now witchcraft is looked at something like, well, since the craft, right? Everybody wants to be a witch, let's be honest. But gay is the new witch. You can't win for trying. So if you act like this, you're gay. If you act like this, you're gay. Everything's fucking gay. So it's the new thing that's frowned upon that people don't understand. So I think that like tolerance starts in sexuality, right? And then I think that if you're a person who's tolerant and reads and is open to things, then you're tolerant of people's religions, you know, even if their religion happens to be full of shit. The truth, right? Because I don't think our religions are good, but I don't need to, because I follow the one that I think's good, and which one you think's good for you, you know. But people aren't tolerant. I think tolerance is the thing, right?
Yeah.
But we could talk about mushrooms. Let's go.
Yeah. No. Like I said, I think this was listen, we tend to be very, very fluid here, because doesn't matter what the hell we set out to discuss, the conversation always takes a life of its own. And it's not like there's a lot of podcasts where there's like, we have a list and this is where we're going to top. Now let's move to the next topic. We've already spent this much time here. Next. Fuck
our
that.
unorganization is our gift.
Yeah, I think I'd rather just let it flow and let it be what it's gonna be, and then that's, you know, the people that there's somebody that's listening right now that's like, fuck man, this is the shit that I needed to hear. There's probably gonna be somebody saying, no, fuck these motherfuckers, you know, and that's fine. That's your choice 100%. But I think that for the most part, there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be like, fuck yeah, I can, you know, this is, nobody's saying this is right, this is wrong, this is that. It's like, hey, these are just different opinions, different perspectives, different points of views. And I think that in order to evolve as a society, you're going to have to sit down and listen to all the different points of views and be open to learning, you know. And with that said, I feel that mushrooms are a tool for that. I think that, you know, they've been frowned upon for so long as this psychedelic party drug where you get loaded and you see pretty colors. And the intention of mushrooms, and again, you can go back to the hieroglyphics and see the symbolism with these mushrooms being used. I forget the name of a book that I read, and it talks about in the 1960s when everybody was doing experiments. Every major university was doing experiments with LSD, and people were talking about telekinesis and the power of the mind. This was very popular in the 60s and 70s, and there was a place in Mexico where these mushrooms were growing wild. There's cow shit everywhere, and these mushrooms were growing out of this cow shit. And there was this lady who was a curandera, a healer, and she would use these mushrooms as a medicine for the people in this village. And they would, they supposedly have these properties that help heal your DNA. You know, all the shit that's been handed down, generational shit that's embedded in your program, in your DNA. These mushrooms and also ayahuasca and DMT, all these different hallucinogens, quote unquote, tend to heal that. And there's people that have these moments where they're like, my God, I saw things different, and I had a peace, and I had a that. And, you know, the days of, we saw fucking pretty colors, bro, and it was fucking awesome. I think those days are done. I think that people are now looking at the medicinal value of these psychedelics and realizing how beneficial they are.
You're really selling me on this. I don't do any kind of drugs, no marijuana, no mushroom, but I like that. That whole thing, I made me want to do mushrooms. I was like, this sounds nice.
I agree with everything you said. I've never really done them in a recreational way. I've always, because I was introduced to them in a spiritual way. So that's why I've never like gone to a party or gone, you know, to a concert or anything. Like I've always done them at the beach or on a hike or just somewhere out in nature. And I will say the first time I did shrooms, it was the first time I really felt like I didn't need a middleman to connect to God. You know, I felt like I've tried different churches, I've tried different religions, and I've always felt this connection to something, but it never was really to the religion itself. And the first time I did shrooms, I will never forget because it was around the time my grandmother was sick, and I prayed, and I just remember the clouds literally opening up. And it wasn't like words were coming at me, but it was a feeling of, I got her, don't worry, she's gonna be okay. And I felt that spirit. I felt my grandmother's spirit there. And it really, when she actually passed away, it brought so much peace to me because she passed away maybe within days of that. But at that moment, it almost felt like, oh, she's already where she's supposed to be, you know. And yeah, every time I've had a trip, it's always given me what I needed every time. And even meeting you and having that conversation with you, I got something that I needed from that conversation because it was random as fuck for us to even meet and talk, you know, like it was very random. Like
if you only knew how much that resonates.
It's the truth. And I always have those experiences. Like I may see something written on a wall. I may see something somewhere that's like, oh shit, that's what the fuck I needed. And, yeah, I've had very many beautiful experiences and they're always so memorable, you know.
That's fucking awesome. We're going to start wrapping it up. But I first of all, thank you for coming out here and, you know, sharing a big part of your story. You know, glad that I met you. Random as fuck, but it was fantastic. And you know, your podcast, you guys can, if you guys want to hear more, and you put a clip up on your Instagram where it's like this meditation stuff and inspirational.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So one of my best friends is a yoga teacher, and I just reached out to him because he does meditations and stuff, and we've meditated together. And I was just like, bro, I need a meditation for every episode that I do. And he did one because I did this thing with Spotify last month, and I had the free range to create my show in any way I wanted to. So I was like, he couldn't come because he's not vaccinated, motherfucker. But and not for that, but I was only upset because this whole time I haven't cared about him being vaccinated or not. But I was a little upset because he couldn't come to the event because he wasn't vaccinated. But I was like, I still want to include him. So I was like, hey, send me a meditation. And he sent me one, and the response went really well. And I was like, I need one for every episode. And we don't talk about it or anything, but I swear we are so aligned that every time he sends me a meditation, it aligns exactly with what the fuck the episode is about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Cool. But yeah, if you guys want to hear more, check out The Art of Letting Go. You're on Spotify, you're on iTunes,
yes, sir.
You're and pretty much any podcast platform. Again, thank you so much for coming out here. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for getting pretty freaking candid with us and opening up about a lot of things that you know aren't a lot of times easy to talk about. So really appreciate you doing that, especially since we just met. You know, you just met Thanya.
Legitimately, I just met you.
Yeah, no, but
I feel like I know you so well now.
Yeah, no, you're an awesome human being. Keep being awesome. Keep going to the beach. It's fucking. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy at that beach, and I you know, I love smoking weed and going on my walk. I stretch, I walk, and I feel so much more. I feel disconnected from the world, and it's where I feel spirituality hit me harder than anywhere else. You know, I love the moon, but the beach, the water is just it's my safe place, and it's always been that since I was a kid. I've loved the water. I almost drowned as a child. I didn't know how to swim, I was following a ball at Long Beach. My dad just let us go play. He didn't give a fuck, And hey, it was the 70s.
You'll be okay.
I remember reaching for the ball and a wave coming and covering me. And before I knew it, I was way deeper than I'd ever been. And I was sinking, and I saw my hair. I had decent sized length hair at the time. And I saw it come up and then come over my eyes. And I just started swimming. Nobody had taught me how to swim. Nobody had nothing, but I started swimming. And ever since then, I've had this connection to the ocean. My dad's in the ocean. Nothing. Anyway, I don't want to start ranting right now. But listen, thank you guys for tuning
Messiah?
in.
Ocean Messiah.
Ocean Messiah.
Chiki's gonna be the side eye.
Thanya, any closing words?
Thanks, guys. Don't forget that I'm going to be doing a pop-up with E-Zone on the 16th at his We Don't Smoke the Same live. So go out there and support me. Say hi to me. Follow me.
Where's it going to be at?
In Riverside. I have it up on my Insta at Ashe Imports. You guys can get all the info. So I'll be there. Stay blessed. Stay tolerant, because you ain't always right.
Except if you are a messiah like me.
Except if you're me, because I'm the Bruja Mayor. Except for us three. We're always right. You guys.
Mike, anything you want to say?
Thank you guys so much for having me. I really do appreciate being here. This was really dope. Yeah, you can follow me everywhere on all social media, the Art of Letting Go podcast. Put a book out in February called In a Panorama, short essays, journal entries, and other things. Yes, spelled THANGS. By Mike Brown, available at justmikebrown.com. And that's all I got. But I appreciate you guys so much for having me.
Dude, you wrote a fucking book.
I know. Way to fucking throw it in at the end. We're like, what?
Goddamn author. Thank you guys. Hit us with the rate and review. Share us with your friends. And stay blessed. And as always, here's, I don't know what kind of blessing to give you, so I'm going to hit you with the Satarakata Shanda.